Meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Clouds and rain showers today and tonight. Highs around 40, lows around 35. No freezing weather expected. Spotty rain showers Thursday, mostly cloudy in the mid-40s. More rain expected Thursday night and Friday as a series of storms coming in from the southwest. Temperatures Friday in the mid-40s. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. 6 people have died after a train crash in Denmark. Former US presidential candidate Mitt Romney's attacked Donald Trump for a lack of character and leadership. 2 Indian women have entered a Hindu shrine in Kerala despite months of, at times, violent protests. And a 25-year-old man has been detained under mental health laws in the UK after stabbing 3 people at a Manchester train station on New Year's Eve.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and it's, as you know, the first Wednesday of the month, and our very special guest today is Chief Rick Elliott from the Jonesboro Police Department. Good morning, Mr. Elliott, Chief.
Well, good morning.
All right, so I want to say good morning to Ms. Cora Evans Hester. Thank you for joining us this morning, and everyone else out there that's listening wherever you are. If you have any questions or comments, give us a call, 870-277-1080, or drop us a message on our Facebook Live feed. So we're going to get right into our discussion today and find out what's been going on around Jonesboro. How is the new year starting out, and what are some plans that the police department has for 2019?
Sure. Well, as most may have heard at this point, the new year didn't start out too good in Jonesboro. We ended up with a shooting on West Huntington yesterday afternoon that subsequently took the life of a man, at his place of business. So, today there's now a family and loss of a family member, and having to deal with that tragedy, and the young man responsible for it is now in police custody. So that puts another family out there that's struggling to deal with that also. So it didn't start out well in Jonesboro, but we're dealing with it, and it's an ongoing investigation. Okay. All right. So, as far as 2019 and Jonesboro Police Department, we're moving forward and starting to plan our community outreach projects for the year. As everybody knows, we have our Citizen Police Academy program, and probably by the next time I come on the show, we'll be accepting applications. Okay. And that class is limited to about 28 people, and we run the program twice a year. We'll probably start this one around 1st of February, and then we'll do another one in the fall. Okay. And so that's one of our community outreach projects. Then we have some cleanup projects in the spring that we help participate in, and just different projects throughout the year. And then we're in the process of revamping our website, and I've hired a new media outreach person. It's a civilian, Sally Smith, her name, and she'll be coming to work Monday, and she'll be in charge of maintaining the website and keeping fresh content on it, but she'll also deal with the media day in and day out, her and Sergeant Waterworth. Okay. They'll be working together, same office. But we hope to bring a fresh, new look and content to our website, and maybe reestablish our social media platform, and try to, get it back up to speed. Okay. Sometimes some of those things we have to back off on due to manpower, and we're tied up with other things, and we don't have the manpower resources to do that. So now we've got a civilian in place who's well versed in this, and hopefully see some changes.
All right. Well, I'll be looking forward to your definitely your Facebook page and your website, because I like to keep up with what's going on around the city, and because you also post positive stories as
Sure.
well. We do have officers out there doing great things in the community, so we like to see those things if they're engaged in.
You're correct, and that's part of what we want to do, and some feature officers every month and their story and things like that. So there'll be some officer highlights and contents through pictures, stories, and videos.
Okay.
Sally is an expert in creating videos and editing and things like that.
Okay.
So we have some video projects that we wish to put out there, and educational and then plus informative.
Okay.
So, like I said, once we get going here in a couple months, really get up to speed, I think you'll see some changes, and we'll promote that as we go.
Okay. And then you, the citizens, can get involved. Or you see an officer, doing something within the community, make a mention of it to the police department so that officer can get the recognition that they deserve as well. Also, concerning community engagement, we know that you have the DARE program,
Right.
and then there's the Fraternal Order of the Police. Have you heard from any of them so far? I know it's just still early in the year, about some of the things they plan on doing. I know the DARE goes into the elementary schools.
Sure. Yeah, the DARE program, they run in both some fall semester and spring semester of the schools.
Okay.
So they target the 5th grade classes in the schools.
Okay.
And so once school starts back, the DARE program will start back in the spring section, and they'll run to the end of school. So they stay involved with these kids during the school year. Then during their off time, they're out fundraising to support the program. The DARE program is funded pretty much just on donations.
Oh, wow.
And we provide all the T-shirts for all the kids that participate in the program, and it costs around $10,000 to provide T-shirts for all the schools in the city that participate in the DARE program. That's a year. So, but we don't charge these kids get the shirts free. We don't charge the kid for the shirt and the material to participate in the DARE program. So it's all funded through donations and fundraising.
That's
So
really
that
awesome.
they have different events, different runs, and just different kind of fundraising events throughout the year to support the DARE program. So as a community member, if you see one of these events coming up,
Go out and
encourage you to
support.
get out and then participate. If you're not a runner, then a monetary donation would be wonderful.
Because they usually host, they're known for their color runs
Right.
Throughout the year, and some other things they host. So, and the color runs are really fun.
Right.
I've seen
A little messy,
pictures.
but they're fun.
So we just want to encourage everyone to get out and support. If you want to see your community get better and grow and be more prosperous, and you want to see hopefully the crime rates go down, get out and support the police department and the other entities within the police department that take care of our community.
Absolutely. It is your community. You need to be part of it and be active in it. You can't just sit back and complain about things. Get involved and do something.
That's right. And then with Fraternal Order of Police, they also host youth engagement activities.
Sure. They have several programs that they run throughout the year. They have the new BB gun shooting gallery that that's kind of exposed kids to gun safety and handling guns, because what these kids see on TV day in and day out, there's not any education, things like that going on. Sometimes there's tragic events where kids come across a gun in the home and get to playing with a gun goes off, and either the child gets hurt or killed, or end up hurting or killing one of their friends. So it's a lot of tragedy sometimes. So we want to, it's part of education, and to be, what guns can do, be responsible. FOP, of course, their big events, the Shop with a Cop, they're around the Christmas time, which we just completed that, just a few weeks ago, and that's always a huge turnout. And that's just giving some kids in the community a chance to spend time with the officer and make that interaction, contact, and hopefully it's a positive contact, and gives that child a Christmas present that he or she may not get otherwise.
And so, we hadn't seen you since, I hadn't seen you since that event. So how did it go? What was the feedback from the families and the children and the officers?
As usual, everything was very positive and welcoming. The officers always enjoy these programs because they love dealing with the kids. And to see the smile on a kid's face, during their shopping experience is always good. And it's always heartwarming when the child wants to take some of that money and buy for their family members, that may not have much. So they're not just thinking of themselves, but they're thinking of their family too, oftentimes. So it's always a positive interaction, and we enjoy doing it every year.
Alrighty, and so going back to community engagement with the officers, if someone is hosting an event and they would like an officer present, how can they who do they need to reach out to, and how does their process work?
Sure. Sergeant Lyle Waterworth is our community outreach officer.
Okay.
So if you have any events that you want somebody present or officer participation in, just reach out to Sergeant Lyle Waterworth at the Jonesboro Police Department, and he'll coordinate that.
Okay. I would love to see more organizations connect with the police department because you all serve us, our community. We try to keep our families and our children and everyone safe. And so the more individuals that interact with you all, hopefully it demystifies that image of what a police officer, who a police officer is and what they do.
Right.
And takes away some of the negative. Now, you do have a job to do. However, there's a lighter side too.
Sure, there is a lighter side, and we do want that interaction. You do need to get to know the officers that's out there working for you day in and day out. I mean, these men and women, they get up and dedicate themselves to the city of Jonesboro and the people they serve every day. They put their lives on the line for people they don't know every day, and so they want to interact with the public. And so, again, any event that's coming up and you want that interaction, we'll be more than happy to do it.
Alrighty, so again, you are tuned into Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and we are speaking with Chief Rick Elliott from the Jones Police Department. I'm going to get my tongue untied this year. I want to work on that. If you have any questions or comments, please give us a call in the studio, 870-277-1080, or drop us a message on our Facebook Live feed. We'll be happy to address it on air. All right, so what are some goals? Like, I don't know if you have staff meetings, or some end of the year meetings, wrap up with the officers or those that are in supervisor positions, and do you set goals for the upcoming year?
Yeah, yes, we have weekly staff meetings with my command staff, and we do at the beginning of the year. I ask them to establish goals for their division, and then mid-year we kind of look at where we are at on those goals, and then at the end of the year, do we achieve them, not achieve them, and then start focusing on the goals for the next year. Okay. So it is an ongoing process, and when you have an organization such as this, you gotta have goals in mind, where you want to go, what you want to accomplish, and so yes, to answer your question is we certainly do, and but one of our big ongoing goals is always community outreach, trying to do things different than we've done in the past. I call it thinking outside the box. You can't always do what's been done historically. There gets a point in time it's not effective. Okay. So we like to think outside the box as often as possible, and And you get that from input from the public, and just like coming on this show and talking about it on the radio, and then we get feedback from the community, and there's ideas that pop up that we may not have thought about. So we appreciate the input, and just again, it makes your police department a better place.
All right. So again, we really encourage everyone in this community to reach out to voice your concerns, opinions, if you have them, and start being present at the various activities that are happening around town. Make your presence known as well. This is your community. You deserve to see what you want, to some degree.
Sure.
And so the police department and every other city official is here to serve you, the community. And so just like KLEK, we're here to serve you. We're here to be your voice, your go-between the different entities. So please reach out to us if you have any questions, concerns, complaints. We hear them all.
Right.
So,
I mean, we'll take the good and the bad.
That's right.
Again, you have to take criticism to get better. If there's something that's not the way you like it, then we'll certainly listen to it, and then, we may change what we're doing, we may not, but, we'll still welcome your thoughts.
That's right. All right, so I look forward to seeing what's coming up for the new year, and as we host events, we'll definitely reach out to the police department. I just had a thought in it quickly. Do you have plans to add more, or is there room to add more officers to the roster, to the police department?
Well, no, our limit right now is at 161 sworn, and as we speak, I have 2 openings. Okay. So we've done quite well in trying to keep fully staffed. Okay. So that's one of our goals, is to get the number of officers hired and out of training and actually on the road. Okay. Right now I have 8 officers that's in some phase of training. Okay. So they're not really a big asset to us just yet. Okay. But we're getting there. It's taken me 4 years to recruit and to retain what we had. And it's a huge investment when you get somebody to come to work. We spend a lot of time and money and training on to get an officer ready to be out on his or her own. And it's a huge investment, and we want to protect our investment the best we can, because it's taxpayers' dollars that's funding all this. And right. we try to get the best applicant that we can find, and we've been testing once a month just to get a good applicant pool and and get these slots filled. So it's been very good. Sergeant Waterworth is also over that process, so if anybody is interested in becoming a police officer, you can contact Sergeant Lyle Waterworth, and he can give you the information on doing so. Okay. So we're still testing once a month right now, but like I said, I've only got 2 openings, and I actually have an eligibility list of about 10 that's something we're not really had a good quality list as we do now, so that's kind of exciting. Awesome. So Jonesboro, with the unemployment rate as low as it is around here, there's people, industry is begging for workers, and so it's hard to sometimes get people to want to work for the police department, because you have shift hours and then the hazards of the job, and
it's not for the faint of heart.
It is not. The job has its challenges, and it's not for the faint of heart by any means, and it challenges a person, every day.
Wow. Once someone becomes an officer, do they go through continued? We've seen this discussion in the past. Sure. When things have gotten out of hand, when the nation was at an all-time, emotions are very high due to police and community member interactions, not just in Jonesboro, but all across the nation.
Sure.
Do police go through continued psychological or counseling, not testing, but therapy, counseling, if they encounter something highly stressful? I mean, every day is stressful, but
if they're involved in a tragic incident or I understand what you're saying. If the officer's exposed to a situation that that affects them emotionally, yes, then their counseling services are extended to them. Okay. The city has an employee assisted program that the officer or any member of their family can go to 6 visits free. Okay. So, sometimes it may affect the officer, and that they take that home, and it affects the home life too. So, with this employee assistance program that's offered by our city health insurance, that this is out there for the officers. But if the officers are involved in something that needs more than that, then that's also covered by the city. So, we do run across some tragic things and some tragic sites, and that affects some folks, and some can deal with it, and some will subsequently leave the job because of it.
I want to ask this as we get ready to go to break. Now, I watch a lot of TV, right, but I also watch some of the quote-unquote real stuff, like 48 the next 48 hour, the 48-hour show, right, and then Cops and some other ones. How close to reality are those? Even though they are quote-unquote reality, how close to reality still?
It kind of depends on the show. When you're talking about the first 48, the first 48 in any major case is important to us. Okay. You make or break a case a lot of times in that first 48. Okay. So the concept of that is correct. Okay. We'll talk when we come back.
All right. We'll be right back after these announcements. Don't go away.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Dads, do you know what your son needs? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. As a boy grows up, there are many people who will influence, impact, and inspire him. But as his father, you want to be the main voice he hears. You are and should be his most important role model for life. So as your son grows and matures into a young man, be sure that you give him what he needs. First, he needs you to be present in the little moments and in the big moments. Second, he needs you to affirm him and tell him how proud you are to be his dad. Finally, he needs you to love him unconditionally. That means no matter what. Love your son well by giving him what he needs. And remember, your family first.
Want to connect with Mark on Twitter? You can. Follow him at twitter.com/Mark Merrill.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a non-profit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
This Christmas, Craighead County Circuit Clerk Candace Edwards hopes that you and yours will be touched by the real meaning of Christmas. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. As we remember the greatest gift of all, we wish you and your loved ones a blessed Christmas and a blessed New Year.
KLEK 102.5 FM is giving you more praise. That's right. KLEK brings to you all Gospel Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, enjoy all of your favorite gospel hits and get your praise on all day long. Plus, the return of the KLEK Praise Break. Lift up your hands, rejoice, and praise Him all day, all Wednesday, every Wednesday on KLEK 102.5 FM.
The Craighead County Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Parade Committee will host the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Explosion Parade and Celebration January 20th and 21st. The theme is Unity. Youth Explosion will take place Sunday, January 20th at 3:30 p.m. at the Jonesboro High School Auditorium. The MLK Parade will begin Monday, January 21st, with participants lining up at 9:30 a.m. and the parade starting at 11 a.m. at the Arkansas State University Armory. The MLK program will begin at noon at the Arkansas State University Fowler Center. The keynote speaker will be Dr. Logan Hampton, president of Lane College. More information is available via Dr. Ray Scales at 870-897-3076 or Deidre Jones at 870-819-7301.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was established on June 28, 1997 by 13 dynamic women who accepted the challenge of chartering the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter. Today, the chapter continues to impact the Jonesboro community by sponsoring programs such as the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Breakfast, Community Back to School Bash, Delta Academy, Voter Registration Drive, and Autism Awareness. Our focus correlates with the national theme, Joy in Our Sisterhood, Power in Our Voice, and Service in Our Hearts. Our chapter supports Delta's 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. More information about the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is available at www.jonesboroalumnidst.org or via email jonesboroalumni@live.com.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Bila Jones, and my special guest is Chief Rick Elliott from the Jonesboro Police Department. I want to start off this segment. As you know, I watch a lot of news stories and different things, and I'm interested in crime stories. And, over the past 10, 20 years, we've seen a lot of stories where people have been charged with crimes and even have been convicted and gone to prison, but there was no body found in some of those cases. And I recently saw a story on, K8. This happened in another state. Mm-hmm. Someone was arrested, concerning a crime, but the person is still missing. So right. In those type of cases, how does the police department or law enforcement go about actually arresting or maybe filing charges against someone when all the pieces are not fully in place?
Well, the bottom line, it's ultimately up to the prosecutor how they're going to proceed with the case. Okay. But the law enforcement investigates the case, and usually in those cases, there's enough crime scene evidence to indicate that something foul has taken place with that individual. Okay. So that's when the prosecutor will proceed on with prosecution, even though their body, may not be found. And often, in other places that you may have a murder and the body's taken out and disposed of, and you may not find it. Okay. But if you can process the scene and get enough evidence and tie it back into a particular person, then the prosecutor a lot of times will proceed on. Okay. You don't have to have the body. Okay.
All right. Now, can you give us a rundown how the different departments, work? You have your officers who arrive on the scenes, then detectives, forensics, and different things. Can you kind of give us a rundown? Because some people, get frustrated with law enforcement on how cases are handled. They feel that maybe not enough is being done to solve a case, but you have an order, you have a process that you go through.
We do. And you got to realize that police department will generate around 11,000 reports a year. Again, I've got 161 people. So start doing the math on that while we proceed on. So generally, if if you call for a report, then you'll have a patrol officer that will arrive and take your report. If it's an accident investigation, of course, they'll complete the whole investigation. So if say your house was broken into, then officer will arrive, take the report. If the officer feels there's a need for a detective to come out, then he will call the detective division or the detective on call to come out.
Okay.
Each morning, the criminal investigation division takes the reports that were generated from the previous day, and the commanders of the division will go through those reports, and if there is something that needs to be further investigated, then they will assign it out to one of the detectives.
Okay.
So each detective will be working on typically anywhere from 15, maybe 20 cases at once.
Okay.
So they have a lot going on, and a lot to manage. So we kind of go by priorities. What's most pressing at that point. So if we have an incident of a violent nature, then that's going to take more precedence over somebody breaking in your house.
Okay.
So, not saying that's it's all important to us, but we have to prioritize things that we do day in and day out.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I said, the patrol division will generally just take the basic reports and basic information. It goes to a detective division. We do have a crime scene investigative branch that's part of a criminal investigation division. So we have 2 people assigned to CSI kind of work, just like you see on TV, as you so mentioned. But other detectives are specialized in other areas. We have our Internet Crimes Against Children investigative branch, and those investigators work on internet predators and able to do forensics on phones and computers, things like that. Then we have detectives that are capable of doing polygraphs.
Okay.
So we use the polygraph in our investigative function day in and day out, also in our applicant screening process.
Okay.
So there are some of the detectives are broken down into specialties.
Okay.
So they'll do general investigations, but they also have a specialty also.
Okay. Now I want to ask you this. You mentioned the crimes against children, and as we know, there's a case ongoing about a missing young lady, and I don't know any details. I haven't spoken with the parent, to find out if there have been any updates on the case. We had her on as a guest on our show, and we know that pretty much the law says one thing: if they're missing, runaway. It seems that there's different qualifications or different. Okay, if they're runaway, the case may be handled a little different versus if they were actually kidnapped. Do you foresee any changes in the law or any adjustment, upgrades?
Unfortunately, we get a lot of kids that just decide to leave the house and go stay with friends or whatever, and so the parents have to list them as a runaway. That does not cause for an Amber Alert.
Okay.
So that Amber Alert that goes out on a abducted child, the criteria is set by the state, and that alert has to be issued by the state police. We cannot issue that alert. We have to contact state police, and there are certain criteria that has to be met. We deal with runaways, weekly, and usually after 2 or 3 days, a lot of them, end up back at the house. So, unfortunately, it's just kids that feel like they want to do what they want to do and up and leave, and they come back. Now, if the situation is to the point that we feel that the child's in danger or the child has been abducted, then it's looked at in a little bit different light. So every case is looked at, based on information that's supplied by the family and what we've come up with and how it's going to be handled.
Okay.
So they're not all the same.
Okay. So is there any I was having some conversation with Mackenzie about how do we go forward with open up a discussion, either whether it's a community-based discussion or one-on-one, where parents now start having different discussions with their children We can't tell anyone how to parent. However, I don't know. Being a parent myself, I know if I'm too hard one way, it's going to push my child in a certain direction, or if I'm too lenient, it's going to also create another issue. Like, where does the discussion start? How do you start the discussion? Like, I don't know what can be done concerning.
Well, I'm not the expert on parenting kids. I did fine with mine, but I could tell folks how I want you to treat have your kids to be raised. But I think first thing, parents need to be the parent, and you're not the child's best friend. You're the parent, and be the parent and act like a parent, and raise your child accordingly. Educate your child that there's rules. You need to have house rules. There's rules in the community that they got to obey, and teach them respect and responsibility. A lot of problem right now with a lot of the youth. They don't have respect, and you go into the schools and they don't have respect for teachers, and it makes that classroom a harder environment to teach in when the kids sitting there are lacking respect for the person that's trying to educate them, and then it carries across the classroom and it creates a disruptive environment. So it's not a good environment for our kids. So there are just some basic common sense things that we need to encourage our kids to do and have, and don't just hand them a phone and let them self-raise themselves in life, because too often it's all about the electronic device and they're not getting that parental interaction on what needs to be done. You're letting them raise themselves.
Yes. Well, hopefully we'll see some improvements all the way around.
I would hope so. I mean, if you don't teach your child and then your child ends up in trouble, then it goes back to whose fault is it?
And I'm sure the officers that have to deal with the juveniles, they don't like to answer those type of calls if they don't have to. So.
Well, I mean, it's always heartbreaking when you have to deal with kids that get into serious trouble, because a lot of times you go back and look at the home environment, and the home environment's not very good, and so you always hope that our youth will do well and not get in that kind of trouble. But if they do get in trouble, then you can hope that maybe they can get a change in their path. It's like an intervention, I guess. If they do get introduced in the criminal justice system as a juvenile, the good thing is that record won't follow them. So after they become an adult. So, there's an opportunity to straighten up, but some do and some don't, and some become career criminals, and that's a problem.
Yes, sir. All right, so I want to move on to another department. When it comes to investigating crime, you of course have the detectives, and then you have your team of CSIs, and so. Can you tell us, sometimes it takes a while for evidence to get processed.
Sure. And
a lot of times we see in reports or, news stories, things that are released, evidence has been sent to the state crime lab.
Right.
So, one, why is it that each department, I know things can get kind of costly, and depending on what the evidence is, why is it that each department isn't equipped, I guess, I don't know if that's the right question, with a crime lab, or it's a crime lab to really investigate their own, or just some things that are above.
It is. It's not like CSI Miami where they go in and put everything in the analyzer, and less than 30 minutes later you got all this information back. That kind of technology is not out there. It doesn't exist. So that's the first thing. And so when you have somebody that's trained in DNA analysis, and then you do have to have a lab set up, for them to do that kind of work.
Okay.
So most agencies cannot afford that kind of setup and that individual. So the state has funded one crime lab for every law enforcement agency in the state of Arkansas.
And roughly how many, every single city has their own, unless it's a little.
Well, I mean, small cities that have just a handful of officers, they don't have a CSI person. That patrol officer is also the detective, and has to do everything.
So would their evidence go to the next largest city and then just go straight to the state?
Go straight for chain of custody issues. It just goes straight to the crime lab.
Okay.
So they get to it when they get to it.
Wow.
So like our DNA, if I send something down for DNA, we can generally get that back in about 8 months.
8 months.
8 months.
So
it's not like TV,
I know.
And that's the frustrating part for people in the community that they say, well, TV they have results in 30 minutes. Well, that doesn't happen because they have thousands and thousands of cases down there that the analysts get to it when they get to it. So, all of our DNA, all of our fingerprints, and any lab work, toxicology, it all goes to one crime lab down in Little Rock, same place with the autopsies. There's, one team of doctors down there that do all the autopsies for every law enforcement and coroner's office in the state of Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
So, it takes a while.
So that could also be the cause of why some cases take so long. Once the person is charged and now they're going to court, that's why it takes so long for them to get a conviction, or one way or the other.
Yeah, generally once the bond hearing has set, we try to get them to court within a year.
Okay.
So, and that's part of what the court process is, the speedy trial rule, that we get them in, and there can be some continuations based on either party, but we try to get them resolved in about a year's time. So, during that year, we're trying to get evidence submitted, get the results back, and it is not a fast process, and a lot of folks don't understand that. So this is a good point to bring up today, that what you see on TV does not happen that quick. You can educate yourself further on this by attending the community or Citizen Police Academy program, because we'll go in depth and talk about this, and give you an idea of how it really goes.
And so tell us more, since we're going to segue into that, and since you are taking applications for that soon, tell us what people can really expect. How long is the program?
Sure.
The time frame.
Yeah, we've tailored the program. We started out with a 12-week program, and we've made some cuts, and we got it down to 10 weeks now. But it's one night a week for 10 weeks. It'll run from usually 6 to 9 or 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. And we start the session out with, I start the first night out with just talking about the police department and what it takes to run the police department, budget-wise, and how the department's broken down and things like that. And, what my duties are as chief.
Okay.
And then my administrative captain will take the next night. We just start breaking down the divisions throughout the course. And so when you get into the detective division, they'll explain what they do, and then the CSI people will come in. They'll set up a mock crime scene and have the class participants to process the scene. So you can see what's involved in processing and doing blood pattern analysis, because we can take a scene that has blood spatter everywhere, and it actually all has meaning. We can, through scientific means, I can recreate the crime scene.
Wow.
So,
and these are all things that officers learn as they're going through the academy, and
a lot of it is they get exposed to the basic academy, but like the crime scene certification course, that is a whole other process.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's, once you get into the investigative branch, then your training, there's just a whole lot more training that has to take place.
That's awesome. And then also with the CPA classes, you do ride-alongs.
Correct. They'll give the student a chance to ride in a patrol car one evening with one of the officers, just to see what takes place on the streets.
Okay. So far, the people that have gone through the classes, and those that are in the alumni classes, what has been some of the feedback?
Well, I think everyone that's gone through has thoroughly enjoyed the program, and all have commented, they had no idea on what the job is all about. They really don't understand, what goes on in the police department day in and day out until they went through this program. And, some people have been involved in the community, in various aspects, for years, and a lot of community involvement, and they just really didn't realize what policing is all about. So, we've graduated over 230 students at this point through this program. And it's all been very positive. We've had people that come in that did not like the police, day one, and would tell you, I don't care for you and things like that, and which is fine, because during these classes we want lively discussion. I want to know what your dislikes are, and what your perceptions are, and then how can we better educate you and change those. But that same people that started out not liking us are now my biggest advocates. So it's all about education, and once people are educated, then they can make have a better understanding whether they like it or don't like us.
And with the youth aspect, I know you have a youth program.
We do. We have an Explore program. For our teenage youth. And it's kind of like the Boy Scouting program. It's an ongoing program. It's not just a set time frame. It goes year round.
And is it open enrollment?
It is. It's pretty much any time. Again, you can contact Sergeant Lyle Waterworth. And one of our DARE officers is over that program, Jamie Seaborn. And so he develops a curriculum, and a lot of the curriculum that we use in the CPA program we put into this Explore program. So these kids are getting some of the same thing. But again, it's an ongoing process, so they'll get more than anybody else. And our goal is, we bring a young person in that has an interest in law enforcement to develop them, and hopefully when they turn 21, they'll hire in with us.
All right, then. All right, we're going to put a pause right there. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll just wrap up our discussion. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Overspending and going into debt to look or feel prosperous destroys, not builds, your net worth and ability to prosper. Here are some common ways people sabotage real wealth to look rich. Buying too much house. Your rent or mortgage should comprise no more than 30% of your monthly take-home income. There's no sense buying your dream home if you can't afford to furnish it, maintain it, or avoid foreclosure. Buying too much car. A car is the perfect example of a depreciating asset. Consider used and pre-owned options and drive the car as long as you can after you've paid off your auto loan. And finally, buying too much stuff. Mainly to impress other people, including people we don't even know. If you don't really need new shoes, new clothes, a new phone, stop spending money to keep up with the Joneses. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters at AURN.com.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
This is how we do it.
Hey KLEK, it's your girl Allie J, inviting you to come hang with us at Twilight Skate, January 15th for our 90s skate party. That's right, we're playing all your favorite 90s hits, jams, and classics in a special live broadcast on Facebook and KLEK 102.5 FM. It's only $5 to get in and $1.50 for skate rentals. Tuesday, January 15th from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. And if you missed it last time, here's your chance to come kick it with KLEK at Twilight Skate, 2700 Phillips Drive for Night of the 90s. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
This is how we do it. It's Friday night.
Let us keep Christmas, holding it close to our hearts, for its meaning never ends, and its spirit is the warmth and joy of remembering friends. Merry Christmas and every happiness in the new year from Craighead County Tax Collector Wes Eddington.
The key to making this station even better could be parked in your driveway right now. Donate your old car to us, you'll get a tax deduction, and we'll tow it away for free.
Go to klekfm.org for more information.
House of Details, located at 3915 East Highland in Jonesboro, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, waxing, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more, with the motto of anything mean we can clean. Details at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and at klekfm.org.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're wrapping up our discussion with Chief Rick Elliott from the Jonesboro Police Department. Let me get back on screen. All right. So I want to thank you, Chief, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And sharing this information. And again, community, if you have any questions or comments, please send them our way. We'll be happy to direct them to the appropriate departments. We want to see more engagement, positive engagement with our community as a whole. We want to see the crime rates. Everyone wants to see the crime rates go down. And I saw something on Facebook. Someone said, and you said this 100 times, if you see something, say something.
Absolutely. It's I've said it many times. Policing is not a spectator sport. It takes everybody in the community to get involved to make your community a safe place to live.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about, you want your property and person, yourself, protected. Why not extend the same courtesy to someone else?
Right.
If you see something happening, especially in your neighborhood, it may not be you that time, but it could be you the next time.
That's exactly right. And, if we don't take care of each other, then nobody will.
That's right. Last year, and I'm sure this is not going to stop, we saw a lot of reports of car break-ins simply because people did not lock the cars. And come on, people,
lock the car.
You spend so much money on insurance and whatever you paid for that vehicle, and maintenance. Lock your doors.
Well, most cars now have a remote, and that's not taking a whole lot of extra effort just to, you have that fob in your hand anyway, so hit the little button that locks the cars and, you know, protect what you got.
That's right. And then I want to bring this out. One of our friends made a post on Facebook. She was at a store shopping, and she just happened to be still sitting in her car at the moment. And she was looking around, and she saw somebody walking around, and she thought they were lost. However, they were actually looking for a car to get into.
Sure.
So again, lock your car doors, because you never know who is out preying on their next victim, who's looking there for the next victim.
Yeah, well, especially during this holiday time, you know, people out shopping and just leave stuff in the back seat, and people, unfortunately, walking around parking lots looking at vehicles and, you know, looking for something to steal.
And lock your house doors, take all of your stuff out. I mean, we'd say this over and over. You would think it would become commonplace, but some people still, you know, being absent-minded, get out of the car, leave a laptop or something in there, or leave change visible in their car. So, I mean, I know it seems redundant, but please take those extra moments and, like, put stuff away.
Yes.
I'm sure the police department would appreciate a few less calls about
that would be beneficial, but, you know, more important, you know, when we're talking about guns getting stolen, you know, officers end up facing those guns on the street, and you know, that's what I don't want. So if you're a gun owner, you know, secure your vehicle.
Okay. Now, do you foresee, I know this may be outside of the police department's realm, but do you foresee any changes, or maybe hope to see any changes in the accessibility to guns when it comes to background checks, psychic evals? I mean, just a variety of things that may not be in place, or lessen the accessibility of getting guns at gun shows without going to the proper channels or private sales or anything of that nature.
I don't foresee any changes in the way laws are written as right now. It would take your legislators to make any kind of changes like that, so it's nothing that we can do as a police department that takes our legislation to make any of those changes. And we do have a lot of laws in places that, you know, what you can and can't do, and people get around the law sometimes.
Unfortunately, yes, they do. So, in our last few moments, any final words?
No, just like to say, you know, thank you for having me on today, and to everybody in Jonesboro, you know, we're starting the new year out, and hope you have a safe and happy 2019.
All right. So we want everyone, I want to see as many people become more engaged with the police department. Get your children more engaged, and stop using the scare tactic with your children. So that if you misbehave or you do something, I'm going to call the police on you.
Absolutely.
I've seen that happen. I've seen like actual video of that happening, and it increases fear in children. So then they don't ever want to trust the police.
Right.
Yes, we have seen stories where we have seen a lot of stories where it makes it hard to trust some police in certain areas.
Sure.
However, that is not all of them everywhere. So,
right. There's good and bad in every profession. So,
yeah. So, just don't start out your kids with that thought process, with that as being a scare tactic. If you do this, bad behavior is not going to call the police on you.
Well, if you don't quit acting up in Walmart, we're going to have him arrest you. Yeah. That's just one of those comments that make you cringe.
Yes, sir. And we can maybe eliminate some of that, and then, you know, allow the officers to get to know you and your community. I know at one point there were quite a few officers that lived in certain neighborhoods.
Sure.
We see that happening again anytime. It depends on what the highest crime rates are, where you have officers actually living in those areas.
If that's where they desire to live, and
okay.
You know, a lot of times apartments or whatever in those areas will offer a courtesy apartment for an officer to live there.
Okay.
So, you know, it's up to each individual.
Okay. And in some of those areas with police cars present, do you feel that crime rates have either gone down or reduced or stopped, or
well,
changed?
you know, I think it has an impact. That's the positive thing of the take-home fleet, that there are cars everywhere and there's officers everywhere. And, you know, that's 161 officers I can deploy in about 30 minutes if we ever had a big crisis.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a blessed and warm day.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK